Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Welcome to another edition of Agent Paranormal, Season 3. We got an amazing show for you tonight, an incredible guest. But before we get to that, I'm going to introduce some co-hosts I have with me tonight. I have Rich. Say hello, Rich.
Hello, Rich.
I knew that was coming. We've got Kevin.
I'm back.
And live from New York, it's Steph. Literally live from New York,
guys.
right?
Yeah, back in the city.
Nice.
She does that little head thing.
That's right. She got that little swagger going.
Everybody, do it with
I
me
can't
now.
do it without my whole body moving.
So how's everybody doing tonight, all right?
Ready
Yeah,
to go.
had some coffee. I'm feeling good.
Nice. Did you talk to your roommates?
I did.
All right.
So you better hush up.
Stop grating the cheese. We can hear it.
Well, we are back. This is actually our second episode of season 3.
Season 3, yeah.
Season 3, man. I didn't think we'd get through season 1. Here we are.
Stumbling our way through the season.
That's right.
Yeah. So first of all, let's just give a shout out to all our friends in downstate New York, down in the city, New England, along the coast and stuff, as they're going through, well, what was Hurricane Enrique. Is it Enrique?
Henri.
Henri.
Didn't we just have this discussion?
I just want to call it
Yes, we
Henry.
had a whole
There's an
combo.
H.
Say,
Can we
Sean.
just call it Henry? So the storm sort of petered out, which is a good thing, but it's so slow and moving with so much moisture in it that there's going to be so much flooding. And, our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody just because dealing with that. It's not like we don't have enough moisture already here on the East Coast.
Yeah, right.
It's just crazy, man. Crazy. We got to fix all that. So yeah,
So we want to get right to it.
let's get right to it.
All right, our guest tonight is a world-renowned psychic, empath, and spiritual medium. She's best known for her work on her series Spirited Chat and the Ghost Box Chronicles. She's a master tarot card reader and currently hosts a psychic reading every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern on her Facebook page, Magic Moon Spirit Jewelry. Please welcome Paulette Moon.
Hello,
Hi,
hello.
Paulette. Yeah, it's Paulette.
Hi, Paulette.
He's going to bang out some show tunes for us. So if you want to jump into the chat room and put in your request, she does a really mean Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
That's right.
This is a very special piano. And if you read the book that Chris and I co-authored together, you will see how special it is. And I just happen to have a copy of the book we wrote together, Ghost Box. This is about some of our adventures, just a tiny bit of some of our adventures in the paranormal. So, Ghost Box. You can get it on my website.
If
Just
you,
going to ask that.
I got it, and I'm loving it so far. I'm not done with it yet, but I love it. And I just got to the part with the piano, and I just love it. It's so good.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
it's a really good read. So yeah, if you follow the paranormal or you want to get involved in the paranormal, learn more about it, I highly recommend the book. It's got what's nice about it's got a lot of different stories, and you take little pieces, something from every story. That book has got to be just a small slice of all the investigations, Paula, you've done. I mean, you and your son, Chris, and your husband and other groups that you've had members have been doing this for, since what, 2000?
We were figuring the other day that it's close to almost 30 years
Wow.
that we've actually been doing it. When Chris was a little kid, we drug him to every haunted house that we could. I know it sounds like child abuse, but I knew
don't think so.
I knew that he had a gift. I knew he had a gift that if there was going to be something that was going to happen, he definitely would experience it. And it kind of seems to be in our DNA because my grandmother, my great aunt, my mother, myself, and Chris is the only male in our family that does have psychic ability.
Wow. So
That's amazing.
So you're saying is it's hereditary?
In our particular family, I truly believe it is. Even my granddaughter has some abilities, but being 24 years old, she's a little afraid to go too close to the edge. So we'll do, and in fact, she comes on our ghost tours, Capitol Hill ghost tours, and she'll talk about some of the experiences that she's had. And it's kind of right there, but she's just afraid to cross the line a little bit. So I think as she gets older and understands a little more, I think she'll be in it just like her dad.
Interesting. So you can open up to it and accept it, and then basically become more coherent of it, or you can sort of put it in the closet and say no, and then just kind of block it out, and through all the noise, and not kind of receive it at all because you're scared maybe, or you don't know what you're going to get yourself into. So
well, Chris and I have had this conversation in a lot of our spirit communication classes, and we truly believe, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but we truly believe that everybody is born with a certain amount of psychic ability. Everybody has something, and the more you work with it, massage it, exercise it, the better and stronger it'll be, or you will put up the proverbial wall, and no, I'm not going down that road. So that's kind of how our feeling is about it, is that everybody has some. If you want to enhance it and do something with it, you can. If you want to shut it off, it's up to you.
When, I know it's kind of a cliche question everybody asks, but when did you realize that you had, what was that moment, or when was it? These guys know you better. I don't. I mean, they know you for years, but when was that time for you when you realized, or when did it
kick in?
Yeah, there you go. That's the word I was looking for.
Well, it's very interesting because definitely I'm from olden times. And when I was growing up, I always knew that there was something about my family that was different than most of my friends. And then I would get from my grandmother, my aunt, and my mother, don't tell people what you see and feel, because if you do, they may take you off to the booby hatch, whatever that was. I never think of that. So I always kind of knew as I was growing up, and then I would have this experience every day at school where I felt I had to follow around certain people on the playground because somebody was going to get hurt. And I could feel it. And that was that in-path coming through. So I would follow them, and I tried to be, incognito. They would fall off the slide. They would cut their leg. They would have a bloody nose. And I would take them to the nurse. It was just my job, I thought in my mind. And I would take them to the nurse. And the nurse would always look at me kind of strangely like, how come you're always bringing somebody who's sick, who fell down? So I didn't know, I didn't want to tell her, but that was when it really started, that there was something there. And then through high school, I had certain girlfriends that we would, talk, and they would always, I'd get in real trouble because they'd always want to know, is their boyfriend cheating on them? And I didn't want to tell them, I didn't want to tell them. And they would just nidge. And I go, well, he is seeing somebody else. And then they would kill me. Oh my God, how could you do that? And then the boyfriends, whoa, I was really, So I really kept it kind of quiet, to myself. And in fact, when I married Papa Moon here, I never really told him exactly what I could feel or whatever. But like I would tell him, yes, this is the job you should take. And no, we don't need that car because it's going to have problems. So he started to kind of get an idea that there was a little something more going on. And then his mother, who was very, very Catholic, we couldn't tell her anything, because we knew if we told her there was something going on that, there would be problems. So that's kind of how it began for me.
Very interesting.
Interesting. And you mentioned Papa Moon, just for our listening audience here. Paulette has another name in circles in the paranormal, and it's Mama Moon. And
Mama Moon.
She gets a lot of that because just her approach to everyone that she deals with is very motherly, and reassuring. And, when you're with her and you're talking to her and, you just feel at ease. You know, you feel like you could tell her anything. So,
Right.
you know, obviously her husband would become Papa Moon. So, so that's how it goes. Even Chris refers to you as Mama Moon. So,
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yes. it does.
Does that make
Does it
Chris
make him
Baby
sun,
Moon?
Yeah, Baby Moon or Sun Moon? Sun Moon? Make him Sun Moon. Perfect.
Yeah. And I read in your book that Papa Moon was a skeptic. Is he still a skeptic? I feel like he's kind of experienced a lot of things.
That is a really wonderful question. When we started out, again, we had the Catholic thing going, you know, where everything is, the only ghost is the Holy Ghost. That's what he, used to say.
Yeah.
And then as we would take him on investigations and he would actually have an experience, see something, do something. And then he became the orb collector. This man can go anywhere with the camera and 25 million orbs will come. I mean, and he can
Wow.
actually see. He took the picture. It's right there in front of him. So now he's hooked.
Nice.
King of the orbs.
Yeah. He's the orb man. He can
That's right.
find him anywhere. Anywhere.
now you've traveled pretty much all across the country.
Yes.
You, Chris, and Dennis, all across
Yes.
the country. You used to do Ghost Hunter University, and
Right.
used to go to all these different haunted locations. Many of the ones that we've heard about or seen on some of the TV shows, and some of them may not have. And you would do these weekend sessions where you would have classes, and you do psychic readings, and you take people on a ghost hunt and everything, and they're extremely popular.
Yes, we've been doing them for many, many, many years. And more people are more interested now in the metaphysical and the paranormal than have been, I think, as long as I can remember.
Well, the metaphysical is got a really big draw. You know, for me, you know, the metaphysical and psychic mediums was all new to me. Being a paranormal investigator, that side of me, I was more the scientific guy. You know, I would buy stuff online, all equipment, and look at readings and, temperatures and get data and try to point that to some type of paranormal experience. But I always wanted to explore the metaphysical side of things. As a matter of fact, Pete, who you know well,
Yes.
Peter Leonard, he had the same kind of ambition. So when I started doing work with you and Chris and stuff, I started to go down that path and explore, and then was subjected to certain things. Like put it this way, every time I would go on an investigation with you and Chris, and I mean every time, we would get evidence, and it was always good evidence. It wasn't like we would hear a voice maybe that sounded like something. I mean, there was sentences come out, and there was get pictures and video. I mean, it's incredible. And then I started thinking, there's really something about this whole psychic medium thing. It's almost like the spirits are drawn to it, more so than just a bunch of guys with scientific equipment walking through a haunted house, So
Exactly.
that was extremely intriguing. And then when we did the Lumber Baron Inn investigation, it was actually an event that you allowed me to participate in, and I did some training with some people there on a little class on equipment and did the ghost hunt. That's when we came up with that iconic photo that Chris allows me to use in my presentation.
Right.
That figure, that impish, dark, whatever it is, figure that came off of that room. And I was just like, whoa. It's like, Chris, every time I go with you and your mom and we do stuff, it's always an incredibly new experience. Why do you think that is?
Well, we're good. We're really good. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the energy around us. We have been really blessed in the fact that we've met a lot of people along the way, like Frank Sumption, that's helped us with the telephone to the dead, and people that really wanted us to come and do investigations with them. And I just think it's the energy around us, who you're with, how they're thinking. You kind of open yourself up, but be protected at the same time to what's out there. So I think that the reason that we get so much good evidence is because of the energy that's around us.
It makes a lot of sense. And you're a tarot reader, correct?
Yes, I am.
Does that have you ever tried tarot in an investigation? Because I also do tarot, and I'm thinking about trying it.
Yeah, yes, we have. We actually have done brought the deck in. I use what they call the cat black deck. It's one of my favorites. I'll just show you here if you can kind of see. It's very, very
nice.
bold, and I just absolutely love it. And we have brought it with, and we have spread the cards out, and we've asked different questions, and then we would pull a card. If it was positive, then we knew we were moving on the right track. If it was a negative one, we knew pull back. This isn't good.
Okay.
We've used them. We also use, or this is, I don't know how many other people do this, but I actually use dowsing rods on investigation. And I had no idea at the time. Chris came to me, and it was during the lumber baron investigation. And he said, you know, Mom, you are so empathic. I wonder if you take the dowsing rods and ask the spirits to cross them to connect with you, if you could channel them through and see if they had things to tell us. Well, I thought, I've never heard of this. Oh, they've done this in the 18th century. This is nothing new. And I said, well, I have never heard, but I'll give it a try if you want me to. And he said, absolutely. Let's go to the lumber baron. Let's go into the room that the two girls were murdered in. And let's see if we can contact them, not only with the telephone to the dead, but also with the dowsing rods. So the first time I was a little nervous about it, because what's going to happen? You know, is this going to be okay?
Yeah.
And we asked the girls, if you'd like to communicate, please cross the rods for yes, or stay apart for no. Immediately they crossed, just like that. It was like a shock for me. And we started asking questions, and we started to channel them through, and they started to answer the questions that we needed. And we were working at that time. It was a cold case, a cold murder case. And we were trying to get enough information to find out who actually committed the murders of these two girls, because this had gone on since the 1970s. So we were able to get a lot of good information. And finally, through the telephone to the dead, we found that the murderer actually died of AIDS. So that was stunning to get that
That's
kind of
amazing, like detailed information that I feel like you cannot get anywhere but the spirit box.
No, I mean, when I think about it now, I get the chills. I really do. I get that right down my spine, the chills of how moving that was to actually have contact with them and getting the information that we were getting. We were getting names and color of cars and where these things happened, that we were just amazed. But still, I don't know why the dowsing rods and me work together, but they do.
I'm still learning those as well. I got me a pair of those.
Yes. Just practice. It'll get easier. Yeah.
So that's on your recommended list of paranormal equipment, the dowsing rods, then.
Yeah.
Works for me. Works for staff.
I have noticed that certain people have better luck with different pieces of equipment. You know, there's some people that were in our group that could take a telephone of the dead type spirit box and be there for hours and really get nothing. Then there's certain people like Pete who would pull out his portal, which is pretty much a glorified spirit box, and he would get people talking to him and, you know, everything. It's kind of like he must have some type of connection. The only thing I can think of is that he's been doing it for so long that it's almost like you get connected to it, you know? And then I don't know if there's a certain thing about you that spirits can then detect afterwards. They're like, oh, we've talked to this guy before. This is Pete. Let's talk to Pete. This other guy over here, we don't know who he is. Just push him aside. We're not gonna communicate. So it's always been interesting to me. And when we've done stuff together, I know Chris's spirit box has had like full sentences come out of it. You know,
Yes.
I mean, it's just like, do you remember the experience? For those in our listening audience, Paulette has actually been up here in upstate New York. And
Yes.
she did an event with us at the Rucker Mansion years back. And we did the lecture and everything in building number 3. And that was kind of that was a nice one that was inside. That was the one that was, they had the most amount of work that was finished in it. And I think we deducted that there were some children running around in there. We had a conversation about that.
Yes.
Then we moved over to mansion number 1, which used to be the old nursing home. And I remember you going in there and you having some feelings of how you wanted to leave. You just did not like that place. And there was some bad energy there. So, I mean, could you, I guess, extrapolate a little bit on that? I mean, what were you feeling?
Well, the first thing is when we actually entered, immediately I felt the temperature change, and it got very, very cold. And that's always an indicator to me that there's going to be something unpleasant going to happen. So as we got in, the more, being again the empath, the more I picked up on suffering and dying and crying and tears and just a whole lot of emotion going on. And being an empath, when you get into a situation like that, it bombards you. It hits you all at once, all of these different things. And for me, when I get overwhelmed that way, I have to leave the situation. I also have it like in a doctor's office or a hospital or any place like that where they're suffering or pain or whatever. Immediately, I'm like a magnet, and it just attaches to me, and I have to leave and get away from it.
Yeah, I remember that well, and that's kind of what we were thinking is because there are some people that go in there and they may not even know they're an empath. But there's some people go in there and they're always like, I don't feel comfortable in here. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's just a little creepy looking. They're like, no, that's not it.
No.
I have to go. I just don't feel good here. I'm like,
Right.
okay. I mean, I feel a little bit of it too, but I mean, I wouldn't consider myself an empath, but I could see that because you were kind of pacing a little bit. You're like, Chris, I want to go.
Yeah.
She really doesn't like it here.
Yeah, I had to go. There was no way of staying. It's like hitting a wall. It's just like hitting a wall. You just can't breathe. You get dizzy. Just too much.
Now, we also investigated with you a couple times at the Hinsdale.
Yes.
And we were just out there with you. God, it was only a few months ago.
May.
Yeah.
May. Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, did you get your leather coat back?
I did.
Oh my God.
It was the craziest thing. Talk about paranormal. I put the coat on the couch. When I went to put it on, it wasn't my coat. It was a big coat. And I said, now, wait a minute. And come to find out, Rich, that when Chris and Dee got home, nobody knows how, my coat ended up in their car. I never took it off. I never put it in the car. I set it right down on the edge of the couch where you saw me sitting with Papa Moon's coat. And when I went to put it on to leave, that wasn't my coat. And my coat was in their car. And they didn't find it till they got home till Texas. Come on. Something was going on there.
The poor thing, she had this, I think it was like your favorite leather coat. You're just a small little thing. It's such a small little coat, you know. And somebody hands you this coat. It was like an extra large, and you put it on. You're like, "This is not my coat." Like, what do you mean it's not your coat? I'm standing there like, that's definitely not her coat. That's for someone my size. And we were like almost turning that place upside down looking for that coat.
Exactly.
And
it's crazy.
I know you felt it's kind of like, you know, when you lose something, when you leave, you just feel bad, you know, you're just frustrated a little bit, maybe a little upset, maybe a little mad, whatever. But, you know, and I always wondered, I meant to ask you that, whatever happened to your coat?
I meant to tell you that too. It meant a lot to me because Papa Moon gave it to me for Christmas several years. And just what you said, it has to be a certain size or the arms, you know, or if it's not a petite size, I forget it. I can't wear it. So that's why I thought, oh no, I'm never going to find another coat like this. So, and then it was in their back seat, all the time.
That's so crazy.
Do you think that had to do something with the paranormal or psychic, or just?
I would not be surprised because we went, you know, to the memorial event, and I had it on. We walked back to the Hinsdale house. I took it off to do the class and set it on the couch with Papa Moon's coat. I did not touch that coat, didn't put it on, didn't do anything with that coat until I was getting ready to leave. And then, as you know, that wasn't my coat.
I felt so bad for her because she left, and you could see in her face she was like just like, oh, it's like she lost like her puppy dog or something. It was just, it was a sad, it was, you could feel that. I mean, it was radiating.
We do have a comment from Chris Ford that says, "Mama, I will confirm I was sitting next to your coat when we were there."
Okay, there you go. There you go. I know. It's crazy.
And trust me, that coat would have fit nobody else in that entire event. Okay, I'm just telling
Chris
you.
was strutting around with it, like
Chris. It's like Chris Farley, right? Then he put it on and tore it. Maybe Chris did. He tore it in the back, sewed it up really quick, and threw it in Chris's car.
It was crazy. I'm still trying to figure that out. But, well, I got the coat back, so okay, I'm good.
That's all that matters. You are now in possession of the coat.
Of the coat.
So what do you think of Hinsdale? I mean, you've been there a few times. I mean, I've had some interesting experiences there, but what are your thoughts on that place?
Yes, you have. You definitely have had some not too pleasant experiences.
No.
Yeah, definitely it's got that vibe. I mean, everything from all around it on the outside. Then there's that pond or lake or whatever that keeps, I think, the energy going in the house. Second floor, that back room back there, there's something real heavy there. And every time we go there, I definitely feel it again. It isn't moving. It isn't leaving. It's stuck right there.
I wonder if it's trapped or just it likes it there. It festers on whatever is there, Yeah,
I think it likes it there. I don't think it wants to move on. It's definitely what we call an earthbound spirit that has not crossed. It definitely, and it likes it. It kind of feeds off the house, if that makes any sense to you guys. That it just feeds off of it and keeps it going. Yeah.
Well, it's energy. So energy feeds on other energy.
Exactly.
Keep the energy. So that would make sense to me. So you talk about a trapped spirit, okay? That maybe that's there. Maybe one is trapped there, or maybe one wants to stay there, okay? We've had so many conversations about when you die, what happens to you? Where do you go? Heaven, hell, the light? I mean, depending on your religion and if your spiritualism, etc. But so, as a psychic medium and paranormal investigator, you're kind of like twofold. You're like not only looking just the metaphysical component, but you're also looking at the paranormal component. And so, if you were at the Hinsdale and you were doing your investigation, and you came across a spirit that was trapped there, okay, that needed help, what would the psychic medium in you do?
Well, I have, during the show that I do on Tuesday, Spirited Chat with Mama Moon, people call in or get into the chat room with questions. A lot of times they want to know if, in fact, their relative, their friend, whatever, has crossed over. A lot of the time, I would say the majority of the time, I feel they have. When they haven't crossed over, when they're earthbound, I ask who is asking for them, who wants to know that they've crossed, and I ask the individual, do you want to cross? Do you want me to help you? If both agree and both feel comfortable, I actually walk them to the light. I have them look left, look right, keep moving forward, forward, forward. They then see the light. They usually see someone waiting for them, and then I get the feeling they've crossed. And so I try to help the ones that are earthbound and want to move. I will definitely, but I get their permission. I don't force anything on any spirit. I let them make up their own mind. Most of the time, they say that they're feeling in darkness, they're feeling alone, they're feeling frustrated, they don't understand what's going on with them, and they need help. And if they do, I'll cross them.
Have you ever had a spirit say no? Because they don't want help?
Yes, I have. That they absolutely. Sometimes with suicide. They say no. They actually want to be punished. They want to have that feeling because they feel so guilty about what they did. And they know they cause so much suffering within the family and friends and, people around them that they don't. Not often do I get that, not often, but I have had it. And it's left me with the most devastating feeling in the world.
Yeah.
We did have a question before. From your perspective, are you actually seeing this physically when you're actually channeling a spirit, or is it more of a mind's eye, or just a feeling?
Question I was going to ask. Yeah, what's your process? I guess. Right?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's different. It's different with each spirit. Sometimes I can actually close my eyes and I can see like a full-bodied apparition. Sometimes it's a voice that comes, in my head. And sometimes it's, I know this sounds absolutely bizarre. Sometimes it's a feeling in my heart. I can actually, in my heart, I can feel what they want me to get across, what they want me to say. I mean, it's just like, it's not my feelings. I'm just the messenger. It's not but I can feel it right in my heart. And I just have to say whatever it is they want me to say. I can't change anything. I just try to say exactly. And that's why I have to tell a lot of spirits that they want to communicate, but they don't know who I am naturally. And I have to always explain to them, I'm only the messenger. Whatever you have to say, it will come through my mouth, but I have, I'm not going to hold you guilty for anything. I'm not going to judge you in any way. I will just say what you want me to say. And it's somehow it seems to be working.
Yeah, I mean, you're non-judgment and you're open and you have a very good heart. Like if I was a spirit, I'd come to you with my messages. I trust you with my words.
Thank you. I had a little girl call in. I have to tell you this one. I had a little girl call in, and she wanted to contact her grandfather. And I said, okay. I always ask, please give me the first name, because I never want to connect one spirit with somebody that it shouldn't be. So I asked for his name, and she told me his name. And I asked him if he wanted to cross the rods, and he said yes, he did. And so they kind of talk back and forth. He told her how much he loved her and missed her, which most grandma and grandpas, that's the way it is. And then she asked me, she said, would you please ask him to tell you what the song he used to sing to me when I was a little girl? And I can't remember his name, but I asked him, I said, would you tell me that? Would I be able to know? And immediately came through, You Are My Sunshine. And tears came. I mean, she cried for 15 minutes. That's it. That's it. And I mean, it just, I wish I could explain it, how it comes. It just comes.
So technically, I mean, I'd like to know your insight of this. What do you feel a spirit is?
I think it's everything you are. I think it's love. It's cherishing things. It's the most beautiful part of who we are, I think, is spirit. How hard we love, just the really goodness of everything is spirit.
Now, when we die, okay, and we become hypothetically a spirit,
Right.
and we see the light and we go to the light, can we come back and forth and communicate still?
Yes, absolutely. As you know, Rich, you've done this enough. You know that there are portals.
Right.
There are portals in certain places. And for spirits, they seem to know where these portals are. It can be in a house, it could be in a building. It doesn't matter. Most of the time, we actually find them in a cemetery. Why? Because that's where we go to connect with the spirit who's passed. This is where we find the most portals, is in cemeteries.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yes.
That's amazing. Yes. I like that.
They know you're coming. They know you're going to come. And they know that that's the quickest way that they can communicate with you. You're going to come to the headstone. You're going to come to the mausoleum, wherever they are, and you're going to open your heart. You're going to say, I miss you. I love you. And that's where they're going to be.
Interesting. So What's
I love that.
yeah, what's your most like amazing moment that you've ever had? Like just like unbelievably can't. Is there? I mean, is there one that you can pinpoint? Like pinch me, oh, holy cow! Like that just happened, kind of a moment.
Yes, there is. There absolutely is, and it really did affect me. And I talk about it a lot of times in our spirit communication class. When I was pregnant with Chris, I was in an automobile accident and I was hit from the rear end and I was hurt. And I was ordered to bed rest, which all mommies know what that is, bed rest. And I thought, oh, this is awful. I don't want to lay in bed all day. And oh, this is terrible. So one morning, Papa Moon had left for work, and I was alone with my Labrador retriever sitting beside me, and I was starting to wake up. And as I woke up, I kind of opened my eyes, and at the foot of my bed was a female full-bodied apparition. And I thought, okay, do all pregnant women see these things or what? You know, and she telecommunicated with me. I did not hear a voice. I just had the feeling. And she said to me, there's going to be a problem with your child's birth. You must not let them take him cesarean section. He will die. Well, at this point, it was like, and I look over and my black Labrador retriever was lifting his head and looking at the full-bodied apparition like I was. And it was like, okay. And then, poof, she was gone. So when Papa Moon came home from work that day, I said, you're really going to think I've lost it. But I saw this woman at the foot of the bed, and she told me not to let them take him C-section. And, he kind of looked at me like, okay, hormones, must be hormones. Just didn't know what to think. So when I finally went into labor and they got me to the hospital, I was in labor, hard back labor for 24 and a half hours, and they were ready to take him C-section. And I went, no, you can't do that. And they looked at me like, no, we got to do this because it's been too long. You're stressed, the baby's stressed. And, we don't get that baby. He's not going to make it. I said, no, please, just wait a little longer. I kept saying, please, I don't want to go. Immediately then, my water broke. They rushed me in to the delivery room. They said, oh, you have a little boy. They put him up where I could look at him, and he looked up in my face, didn't cry, looked up in my face. He was born March 24th. My grandmother, who had passed away, was born he was born March 25th. She was born March 24th. At that moment, I knew it was her that was telling me not to let them take that baby that way. And it was just like, amazed. That's it. That was the reason. That was the reason. Yeah.
It's an amazing story. I got chills.
True story.
Wow. Okay.
And I still give Chris guilt. I say, how many hours exactly was Mommy? How many? 34 and a half, Mom. 24 and a half. I know. Okay. So I guilt him.
So on the other side of that, what's the scariest situation you've ever had? That's one that's like totally freaked out. So many. Too many to mention.
Well, she knows Rich.
Yeah, she knows Rich. So that's pretty scary.
I would say just off the top of my head, I think the one that really stayed with me the longest was the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts. Chris and I spent the night there. Wow. I slept in Andrew Borden's bed, and Chris slept in the dressing room that was adjacent to that room. And it was the most frightening night I've ever spent. Every time I would try to turn over because I was so uncomfortable, in my head, I could hear this voice, don't turn your back, don't turn your back. And I would flip back over quickly because, oh my God, they're going to get the hatchet. It's going to come. It's going to get me just like it got, Mrs. Borden. So it was just like that all night, back and forth. And then I could kind of hear Chris in the other room kind of coughing. And I thought, oh no, I hope he's not coming down with something. And then it would stop. So the next morning, we both got up and we both looked at each other and he goes, "Oh, you look horrible. You didn't sleep, did you?" And I said, No. I said, "Somebody kept telling me don't turn your back." And he looked at me and he said, "Oh my God, I heard the same thing." And then I looked at him and I noticed that he had marks around his neck. And I said, What are those marks? And he goes, "What marks?" And I said, "Come here, look in the mirror." And he had marks like rope burn. And he told me that in the night, he could feel Andrew Borden trying to strangle him. He had big red welts. We don't stay there anymore.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
That's it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah,
Too
that'd
close.
do it. That'd
Too
do
close.
Wow.
it. Do it for me.
Sounds like Andrew Borden had it coming. Jeez.
Yeah, we found through the box. We did a lot of investigation there, and we found through the box that he was actually molesting his 2 daughters.
Oh,
and
wow.
yeah, that's what came through. So yeah, he wasn't a nice man.
No,
not.
and you know, we always tell people who take pictures of orbs, because they used to always send us pictures of orbs. "Oh my God, I went to an event with you, and I got these pictures of orbs." And we're usually, okay, that's, it's moisture droplets or dust or bugs. Or, we give them the rundown of what it is, because 99% of the times it probably is. But so I was pretty much sold on that. Then Chris one time showed me this picture on his computer. "Yeah, check out this picture of an orb." I'm like, "Chris, I see these all the time. I do events too." He goes, No, look at this orb." So he kept blowing it up on the screen, and it was actually a face of a man with a beard and stuff. Then he showed a picture of Andrew Borden next to it, and it freaking looked just like him.
It was him.
Dude, that is creepy. He goes, it's just his head, and it was over near the couch where he got slaughtered. And so, I mean, coincidence? Yeah, of course, there are coincidences. But the paranormal, sometimes coincidences are too convenient to be coincidence.
Yes.
Coincidental.
Yeah, exactly. It's like an oxymoron. It's too coincidental to be coincidence. I mean, but yeah. So that makes me like, a lot of times now when I look at pictures of orbs that I've taken, I will blow them up on my computer just to see. And then he showed me another one. It was a picture of a cat in the orb. I saw that one. That was actually pretty cool too, as well.
I want to see that. That's cool.
Again, it wasn't the little tiny orbs that you see, like thousands of them, like you see in dust, like taking pictures in an attic. But it was a more of a bigger orb, and you may not have saw it unless you actually took the photograph. But I thought that was really cool. And I always tell Chris, I go, that's the kind of stuff that follows you and your mom around to investigations. That's why I like going investigating with you, because every time I do, something happens. Somebody captures something. Which is just, and I equate it a lot to your psychic abilities. I mean, I think there's a connection to that spirit world, if you want to call it that.
Well, is Chris more susceptible to being like touched by spirits? Like, have you ever had that experience? Because so far, when I'm reading, he's getting choked a lot.
He definitely has had a lot of experiences. I from time to time can feel like a little tap on my shoulder where somebody is trying to get my attention. Now, actually, he had an incident that happened to him when we were all in New Orleans. You guys ever been to New Orleans? Put it on
on my list.
Put it on the bucket. That is the most haunted place you will ever experience. He actually had a possession happen to him in New Orleans where actually like a spirit just walked right through him and he was like completely different. And it was the most frightening thing. I ended up having to drag him to a church to try to get him to sit there. And we tried to put white light around him until he finally started to breathe again and become himself. But yeah, definitely. There's some rough stuff out there. Got to be careful.
Just to be clear.
Yeah.
You said put New Orleans on your bucket list because my son got possessed there, and you gotta check this out.
Everybody's doing it.
I mean, you've won me over, so.
You've got put the protection around you. You got to really be
Travis
careful.
said
But,
road trip.
yeah, especially there. I mean, really have the protection because there's just so much with the voodoo and the ghost hunting, and of course, as you know, all of the graves are tombs because of the water. They can't bury anybody in the earth, so you'll see just rows and rows and rows and rows of these beautiful tombs. They're very pretty, but there's a lot of voodoo stuff going on there. So you got to be careful.
Well,
now, as you said before, you're from the olden days. Your words, not mine. But you've progressed and you've gone online and you're doing online readings and everything. Was there any kind of learning curve for that with your abilities to be able to pick up on spirits via the internet?
I think it's been very helpful. It opens me up to a lot of people who I naturally wouldn't have always reached, even though we do a lot of touring around the country. And I like to do a lot of private readings, and I can offer that to, whoever's interested. If you want a private reading, go to my website. There's a calendar there. There's a list of things that I do. Pick out something that you want to do. If you don't know, just pick one and I'll work with you. And I think it's really enhanced, everything for that. I do. Good question. Thank you.
Psychic mediums meets technology.
Yeah.
It's the way everything is. It's the way everything is going. Going back to New Orleans, you talk about all the voodoo and all that stuff. A lot of it's bad. So obviously, as paranormal investigators, we sort of protect ourselves. But a psychic medium who walks in there and basically can channel things and communicate. I mean, you got to put up some kind of wall of protection around yourself. I mean, if we all walked in a room together, they'd be like her, because they can tell that they can connect to you. They must know, they must.
Yes, they do.
No, so what do you do to protect yourself or isolate yourself or?
Well, before we go into an investigation, I always try to put myself in the white light. I always try to ask for protection to get me through, not let anything connect to me. And then after I've done the investigation, just like I do on my show, after I've channeled family members through, I have to clear myself. I have to clear myself of all of the spirits that I've connected with. I have to make sure they stay where they are because I won't sleep. I could go days without sleeping if I don't clear myself because they're all there. They're attached to me. And so if I don't do it, I don't sleep.
So they'll just keep trying to communicate with you and talk with
you.
They
do. It's like they're talking all night. It's like they're talking and tell them this and I'm here and they do that and it's just blah, 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 all night. It's just like overkill. I can't handle it. I've got to ask. I do it very politely. I'm never harsh with the spirit. Never. If you get harsh and start demanding, you're going to get in trouble. So I ask them nicely, please stay where you are. Let me surround myself in white light. Let me be calm, cool, collected, and that's it. And most of the time I really, if I remember to do it, that's the other thing. Papa Moon has to always remind me at the end of the show, clear yourself. Please clear yourself.
Get out of the car and clean yourself off before you get back in and we go.
That's it.
Right.
Wipe your
like knocking your boots off.
Wipe your spiritual feet.
Have you ever, unfortunately, had the opportunity or the pleasure or whatever you want to call it of connecting with a not so friendly spirit, a very negative spirit?
Big D word.
Yeah, well, we won't say the big D word, but something that basically it's like doesn't want to let go. You know what I'm saying? It wants to be connected to you.
Right. Yeah, that can happen. And it's a very, for me, this is just me speaking. For me, it's a very dark feeling that comes over me. A kind of a depression that could sink you to your knees. And when I pick up on that, I try immediately to move that spirit on, move away from me. I don't know. I'm not opening myself to you because I know if I feel for just a moment what they're trying to get through, I'll be gone. That's it. I'll be gone. I won't ever come back. So I have to, when this feeling comes, and I know the feeling, and it almost starts in the pit of your stomach, and then there's chills that come up over you, and it's just like you lose focus on things. And when that starts going down that road, I go, no, I can't go there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is scary.
It is.
Now, you did a cameo on the TV show called Portals to Hell with Jack Osborne and
Yes, I
Katrina
did.
Weidman. And that was at one of the mansions that was there in the Denver area. For those of you know,
Grand Country.
you're a Colorado lady, so Rocky
I'm
Mountain.
fifth generation Colorado.
Yeah,
Fifth generation. And Papa Moon is third.
Third.
So,
yeah.
yes, third generation.
I don't know why more people don't live in Colorado. I've been there several
No,
times.
no.
I love it there.
No. You don't want
Tell
to
him, Paulette. Tell him it sucks. Don't move there.
No.
Everyone. It's the worst.
You're gonna wake up tomorrow. You're gonna see all these New York State license plates with U-Hauls and stuff. Is there a Mama Moon that lives over here? We heard it was a really great place to live.
You just see me driving by with my U-Haul.
Well, you never know. Steph may take a trip out there. She's kind of bebopping around.
You can visit. We'd be more than happy to have you visit. But
But you're not staying.
Be walking around with a hobo stick.
It's absolutely beautiful out there. I mean, obviously, I've been out to see you a couple times, and I actually lived out there for like a month. I was out there training in Boulder.
Yeah.
It's, I never looked at Colorado as a very haunted place. To me, it was always kind of like, ski resorts and, hiking and mountain climbing. I never looked at it as a paranormal mecca. I mean, I would look at like New Orleans. I agree with you on that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't think
Savannah.
New York City would probably. Savannah is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Even L.A. I never thought of it until basically I started really looking. There's a dark history to that. Never really Denver, Colorado, until you get to Denver, Colorado, and then you drive around. You took me up to the Capitol Hill and all these areas, and you're like, wow, there's a lot of old stuff here, a lot of history. A
lot of
yeah.
And we have the most beautiful mountains in the world. It's like what you would see in Switzerland, truly, like you'd see in Switzerland. Beautiful mountains, very spiritual. The mountains here are very spiritual. If you want to really connect with yourself, you want to meditate, the mountains are the place to do it.
That sounds so nice. I'm picturing it right now. I'm in total peace in Colorado, so now I'm moving there.
We have a place called the Garden of the Gods. Garden of the Gods is just before Colorado Springs, and our American Indian population was inhabited it for quite a while. And every time you go to the Garden of the Gods, you feel such peace and such wonderful connection to the earth and the sky and everything. It just is the most peaceful place you've ever felt.
That's got to be hard to find too, as an empath, a place that is complete peace.
Right. It is very hard, very, very hard. But Garden of the Gods, that's one of them.
That's why it's the Garden of the Gods. Now, you also have you have a show that you do online. You have your own streaming show. Tell us a little bit about that.
Spirited Chat with Mama Moon. It's on Tuesday, 9:00 Eastern. It's where people can call in. We have a line you can call in, or you can go into the chat room, ask questions. Do you want a card pull? Do you want to connect to a spirit? Do you want a chakra clearing, past life regression? All the different readings we do every Tuesday night. And we've been doing it now. I think we're going on 5 years now of doing it.
Wow.
So we love it, and love the people that connect with us, and we've helped quite a few down the road, which just is a blessing to me. That's what I want to do.
Network.
That's amazing. Have you ever on an investigation actually had past lives kind of come into the play a little bit? Have you ever?
Yes.
That makes sense.
we were doing, there's a park called Cheeseman Park it's the center of Denver. And it was originally a cemetery where they supposedly moved all of the bodies out, and they didn't. And we were doing an investigation there. And during the investigation, it was actually with Denver University students. And we got to this one area, and we were using the dowsing rods. And we found that there was a family of 3, mother, father, and a child, that were earthbound, that couldn't move, and we actually moved them over, all 3 of them together. They didn't understand what had happened. They knew their graves were still there, their bodies were still there, but they couldn't cross over. So right there, that was quite an experience.
Wow.
And then going back to said earlier that once they pass and go to the light, they can come back through to this dimension, or however you want to, this plateau, whatever, through portals.
Right.
I tell you, I stepped through a portal one time. This is in Boonville at the Halbert House. We actually did an investigation there, several investigations there, and talking to a psychic medium, she said there's probably about 50 to 60 spirits in there, and they're coming through a portal. And I'm like, okay. We knew there was a little girl spirit there because we actually saw her. And then another group a few years earlier took a picture of her in the basement, which was kind of controversial because people were picking it apart, but it definitely looked like a picture of a little girl. But anyways, I actually saw her. I saw her when I was in the restaurant, walking through, looking at the window, being curious, as a child, trying to see what was going on. But in the back ballroom, I come walking through there, and I came through an area of a tremendous energy. Walked through, it was like, whoa. I mean, everything, even your hair and your head would start to stick up. It was, and I was like, was there like a generator under here or something? It was incredible. And you could walk by with the K2s, and they would just pin red. And so I reached out to Chris, and I talked to him. He's like, that sounds like a portal. There's a portal there. So, all right. So let's try to find the portal. So what's weird about the whole thing is we put a chair right where that area was, and we proceeded to go into the basement, and I walked around to try to find it, and then I came across that same area where I felt all that energy, and I looked down on the floor, and I was standing on a door. It was an old wooden door that was laying flat on the floor, and I was like, that's weird. And then I radioed the guys and said, stop on where you are on the floor to where the portal is, and they stopped, and like dust fell on my head. They were like right up above me. I was like, whoa, that's weird. It's like a portal's a door, and there is a door on the ground, and I'm just thinking that thing's gonna fly open, and all these spirits are gonna come out. But yeah, I became a big believer in the whole portal situation after that whole event. That was incredible. And 10 minutes later, we walked by, it was gone.
Yeah,
felt nothing. So they can open and close these
portals? Yeah. Do you ever want to close portals? Like, are they kind of dangerous to have, or?
I have never had a negative thing about the portals. I figure that if the spirits need to communicate and they've got this, that's what they will do. That's what they'll use. So I've never closed one.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well,
yeah.
All I'm thinking is Ghostbusters.
Well, Paulette, thank you so much. You shared so much with us tonight. We appreciate it. We kind of took you down the trail of getting deep into your life, and sorry, we're nosy.
Yeah.
We're nosy people.
Thank you very much, Mama Moon.
Yeah,
thank you for having me on.
Thank you.
If you want to find out more or schedule a reading or get some great merch, that's psychicmamamoon.com, right? I got that one correct.
Right.
And don't forget, live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Exactly.
Sounds like Papa Moon's got something going in the microwave. So he's like, I'm not waiting for dinner for you. I'm just going to do my own stuff.
My gosh, guys. I think that's me again.
Oh. Sorry,
my roommate.
Sorry.
All good.
Sorry.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Steph, why don't you go grab a bite to eat? So,
yeah, I'm going to go yell at my roommates.
I'm sure I'll bump into you soon, Paulette.
All right. See you soon.
Thank
Take
you
care,
so
everybody.
much.
Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye-bye. Good night.